Hello and welcome to the Ectohead channel. So this week I'd like to tackle the rather thorny subject of disclosure. And kind of what does it mean? So the dictionary definition of disclosure is the action of making new or secret information known. Sounds good, doesn't it? But do we really need disclosure? Is that something that's required? I mean, where does disclosure start? Where does disclosure end? Well, I can tell you. I'm going to disclose something right now. It starts with you. It ends with you. Why we feel we need an official stamp on something that's becoming so blindingly obvious as the presence of UFOs is beyond me at this point. There are videos coming out of our wazoo, and still, as a community, we sit here hoping desperately for disclosure. Do you think those funny little men in ties who have a very grand opinion of themselves and their associated lickspittles who wear uniforms, do you think they care about you? About what you think? About what you want? Well, they haven't for the last 70 years, so why should they start now? But for me, disclosure has started. It started with you. It started with everybody who was told their story, everybody who's ever taken a picture or filmed video of a UFO or any other strange happening. That's disclosure. In coming closer to disclosure, I think a useful tool, and it may end up being a crucial tool, is the woo. Those stories of ghost-like apparitions, of fairies, of Bigfoot, of cryptids, that usually the UFO community as a whole run away from. I don't think you can. I think they're inextricably linked. There's something that ties these two subjects, or these various disparate subjects, together. When Betty and Barney Hill were on the road and they saw the beings come out of that craft, which at first appeared to them as a star which seemed to follow them, what was it they were looking at? Let's have a listen, shall we?
I pulled over to the side of the road, and I looked toward the sky. It looked like a big pancake. I drive, and Betty is still looking, and she said, "Barney, it's still following us. What do they want?" I believe this is a flying saucer. I can see it tilted toward me.
That is harrowing. Some people, like Betty and Barney Hill there, unfortunately undergo something which is utterly terrifying. It's easy to say that they're faking it or they are mentally unstable. Two people who are mentally unstable at the same time. And if you doubt this, that's fine, but I don't think there's any need to be cruel. I think we have before us with every testimony an opportunity to inquire, and many of us are inquiring. And we look for patterns, and the patterns that we do have are so broad in their connective tissue that it's hard to drill down into anything meaningful and extract anything useful from the various abduction accounts. It's as though the people or the entities or the things who are responsible for these abductions know exactly how to confuse and confound us, and do so very well, and have been doing so very well for a very long time. We see countless cases of people who have had close encounters and seen beings, individuals come from these craft, and they, frankly, seem absurd. Utterly absurd. Some of them look like the little greys that we're all used to hearing about, and others look like tall greys, which we're used to hearing about. Some look like mantids, those strange praying mantis type things, which unfortunately we're rather used to hearing about. And yet others, they've got bits coming out of their heads, pointed nose, no faces, no heads, no legs in some cases, boxes on the front of their suits, which range from being grey to white to silver to bleach white. They wear cagoule-type coveralls with a hood on. Some speak English. Some make chirping noises. A disturbing amount, have cat's eyes. I've often wondered and wrestled with this question of how can there be so many different types of entity reported? And I have two potential answers to that question, and that, well, if there are millions of billions of squillions, as Biden would have put it, stars in the universe, then we've probably only seen one minuscule portion of 1%. And that's why they're all so wildly different. And maybe there's an arrangement. You only get to have one team of your particular alien, species, race, whatever it is, visit the Earth at a time. So there's not, 200 of a particular species wandering around. And maybe the greys that we see, which appear ubiquitous within the phenomenon, are somehow tied to us here, which is why we see them more often than anything else. They're like a gatekeeper species. With regards to disclosure, we're at an impasse between us and officialdom. What we want, it seems, they don't. This was never going to be an easy endeavour, precisely because officialdom, the powers that be, the establishment, the man, hold all the cards. And I did wonder at one point whether or not we didn't get disclosure because the powers that be want answers, and there aren't any to be had. As we know, as people who are interested in the subject, who may have had our own experiences, whatever we read, see, or experience just leaves us with more questions. It's beyond us. On a very fundamental level, it's utterly beyond us. How do you square the circle that is being floated through a wall in your house up to a blinding light and finding yourself on a table in a round room surrounded by doctors who treat you like a child, who tell you they're not going to hurt you and then do exactly that? But maybe the idea of you isn't what you think. Again, reality, what's all that about? Cutting edge science tells us we may be living in a simulation. That the brain doesn't, in fact, store information or memories, that it might actually just be a receiver for the information that is in the ether, as Edgar Cayce would say. The Akashic records hold all the information from the past, the present, and the future. apparently, telepathy works because every point in time and space is connected. Well, that would explain the ether. That would explain why Edgar Cayce and people who are prophetic by nature can say the things they say. Why children who remember past lives remember those past lives. Because every point in time and space is connected. Maybe disclosure is here. Right now. We don't need the man. We need each other. Maybe disclosure is just us accepting us and our various experiences. Maybe it's just that simple. That disclosure is just an overall acceptance. I think that's a very compelling thought. Now, all it takes is for us to go, okay, that's possible. Fair enough. Rather than, guy's mentally unstable. You kidding? What a freak. Ufology is a tough place to be if you're an experiencer. And then you have to deal with the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune levelled at you from various disingenuous individuals. And we've become far too comfortable being cruel to each other in a subject where we should be inquiring and firm, but we should also be kind. It should lead our every action and our every thought. There's a meme, and I'll end with this, of two aliens stood in front of their UFO. And they are stood in front of a crucifix upon which a person is crucified. One would imagine the Christ figure. And both of these aliens, in their baggy spacesuits, are looking up at this person who's being crucified. And one says to the other, do you know what we need to do? We need to get the fuck out of here. That's what we need to do. Until next time, this is me signing off. Bye-bye.